Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen. It is December. Unofficially December is cookie month, so we're going to bake some cookies. And today I'm going to do biscotti, or a kind of biscotti, or a take on biscotti. I'm going to do almond and orange. And biscotti are a cookie or biscuit that I really enjoy, but I don't make that often. And I looked back on the channel and realized that I had never made one. So, into the mixer, there is butter and sugar, and we want to cream those together until they're nice and smooth. And while the butter and sugar is creaming together, I have here some flour, and to that I'm going to add salt and baking powder. And we'll just give that a little bit of a stir to bring it together a little bit, mix it together. You don't have to go overboard with this step. Just, that's good enough. Now, into the butter and sugar, I'm going to put 2 whole eggs. And 1 yolk. I'm going to hold back the white for later. Now for flavoring, there's so many different flavors that you could use. I'm going to put in almonds and orange zest. You could put in almonds and almond extract. You could, instead of putting in zest, if you had orange extract or lemon extract, you could put that in. Lots of people like to put in cranberries. You can put in chocolate chips. There's so many different ways that you could flavor them. And I would encourage you to sort of step away from tradition, which would just be almond and almond extract, and put in whatever you like and experiment with it, play with it, try different things. Don't be beholden to what is supposed to be the original or the only way that you can do something. And I really like orange and almond together. I think it's fantastic, so that's what I'm doing today. Okay, got all the orange zested. This is super, super smooth, and you're looking for something that is really nice and smooth. So, scrape down the sides, because that's always a good idea. And to that, I'm going to add a little bit of vanilla. And the orange zest. So that goes in. And we turn that back on and mix it a little bit more. At this point, you've got a couple of options. You could ditch the mixer and stir the flour in by hand, or you can scoop the flour in a little bit at a time into the mixer, which is what I usually do. I know that a lot of people are afraid that they're going to overmix. Up until this point, you can't overmix it. You should really mix the sugar, butter, and eggs past the point where you think you need to mix them. Just keep mixing them. When you get to this point, you can overmix it. But if you just sort of scoop it in at this rate and only mix it until it's incorporated, you're not going to overmix it. You'll be just fine. And it works a lot better if you're not talking to the camera all the time and running your mouth off. So let me get back to just mixing this in. Okay, now for the almonds. And today I'm using sliced almonds because that's what I had in the cupboard. I've used sliced almonds, slivered almonds, whole almonds with the skins on, roasted almonds, candied almonds. I've used all of those things, and I like them all equally. They're all a little bit different, but all of them sort of bring the same thing. In fact, I probably like whole almonds with the skins on the most, because when you cut through it, you get a nice big piece of almond. But again, what I had in the cupboard were sliced almonds, so that's what I'm using. And that's about all the mixing we need. So, on to shaping. Now, I'm going to break this dough into 4 equalish pieces. So I'm going to get it out onto the countertop. And let's see, 1, 2, 2. Did I say 4? I meant 3. I don't know what I was thinking. 3. I'm going to do 3. So I've got a piece of parchment paper on this cookie sheet. And I'm just going to shape this into kind of a log. Well, not kind of a log. I'm going to shape it into a log, into 3 logs. And they're going to be... And you know what? Don't knock yourself out too much about the shape. It's important, but it's not a deal breaker. But you do want something that's sort of low and squat. I've seen recipes of this size done in just one giant log. I kind of like my biscotti a little bit smaller, so I'm going to do them a little bit smaller. Now, I've taken the egg white that was left over from the initial cookie, and I've added water, and I've just sort of mixed it up. I'm going to brush that on just one of them. You don't have to do all of them, and you don't have to do this at all. But since I've got the egg white, I'm just going to do a little bit of an egg wash, and then I've got some coarse sugar here, and I'm going to give that a generous sprinkle of coarse sugar. Maybe just a little bit more. Okay, there we go. And into the oven for the first bake. Now, when these came out of the oven, I let them cool pretty much completely. And now we slice them into even thicknesses. And I've turned the oven down to 325 degrees. We want to bake them a second time, but the second baking is mostly about drying them out a little bit. So it doesn't need to be quite as hot. And letting them cool a little bit before you cut them, I find means that I get a better cut. I know that some people have a really good experience cutting them right from hot out of the oven. I've never had that. So put them back onto the baking tray, and I keep them standing up with a little bit of space between them. Pretty much fits all back on the same tray. So this is going to go back in the oven at 325 for 12 to 15 minutes. I'm going to keep my eye on them. I don't want them to brown too much or get too dry. Hey, Jules.
Hey, Glenn. Hey, friends.
Well, you didn't need an invitation for that, did you?
No, there's cookies. I didn't need a fork or a spoon. Those are orangey.
But not overly orangey. To me, it's just sort of a background hint.
Lemons are default, right? So all I really knew was, for me, citrusy.
I like that. I like
That'll
that.
go well
In a cup of tea. Drink it in a cup of tea.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, I know.
Exactly. So they're fairly blonde. They didn't get a lot of browning. I was very careful with that. I didn't want them to be overcooked around the edges, because sometimes they get overcooked around the edges and then they're tougher to eat. I wanted something that would crumble, and it sort of crumbles in your mouth nicely.
I'll have another one.
And neither of us grabbed for the one that has the
sugar on top?
sugar on top.
Huh.
So this is a basic cookie that you can play with the flavorings, like all over the place with the flavorings. All kinds of different inclusions, all kinds of different extracts or peel or things that you can put in to change the flavor a little bit. Once you get the base cookie, you can do pretty much anything to it.
I'm going in.
Okay, so thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.